Hello everybody, this is Lilianarowena, and today we're going to be chatting about Lolita fashion and its complex relationship to mental health. So this video is pretty off the cuff, so it's not going to be very structured. And as a disclaimer, I know that the outfit that I'm wearing is not fully Lolita. I had a lot of housework to do today, so Lolita blouse with a vintage dress is one of my favorite things to do if I know that I'm going to be sweating a lot. So without further ado, I'd like to continue. So recently I wrote on my blog a blog post that was more related to Lolita fashion as a coping mechanism and also its relationship to lifestyle Lolitas, although I focused a lot more on the lifestyle Lolita aspect of this. However, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that Lolita fashion is kind of complicated when it comes to mental health issues. Because although for me, it can be a very positive experience the majority of the time, it gives my life a lot of structure, it gives me things to aspire to and motivation where I would have normally not had any. There's also a lot to be said about some of the pressures within the subculture that aren't as positive to individuals' mental health. So the first thing right off the bat would have to be the fact that Lolita fashion doesn't engender a lot of body positivity or really neutrality. Although there are lots of plus size Lolita options, and maybe I will make a video outlining plus size Lolita options another day, it's still the sense that you should be a smaller person to be a Lolita. For example, I wear a size 12 to 16 in Western sizing, and I still fall within the higher end of straight sizing in Western fashion. However, within Lolita fashion, I am assuredly, without a doubt, a plus size Lolita, even though I would not hit that category in like normal Western clothing. And I definitely think for people who have body issues, it can exacerbate it. I've never had severe body issues, but I've certainly had like the moment of dread when I bought a Alice in the Pirates dress I had been wanting for years, and even though like I read the measurements, I thought it would fit, and it didn't. And in that moment, even though you know that it's just a piece of clothing, it can feel like a personal failure. And I think since so many major brands are very slow to adding more plus-sized options, it can definitely make it feel like to be a desirable Lolita, you should have to be like super tiny. And I know other people have talked more in depth about that particular issue, and I feel like that could be its own whole video, but that is something that I just quickly want to touch on. Another thing that I think about with Lolita fashion that could be a bit negative is just within the community, there seems to be like a mixed understanding of the learning curve. And yes, it's annoying to get the same question 7 times in Big Sisters of Lolita. I think it's really easy for those of us who have been in the fashion for a very long time to remember what it was like when we first joined. It costs $0 to not respond to someone if you're sick of seeing the same question. Just don't respond to them if you really don't feel like answering it. And again, yes, obviously we want people to look at the FAQs, and directions are important. Following directions is certainly important. It just seems like it's so easy for people who are just beginning to have just hard time feeling like they're getting anywhere. I know I did when I first started in Lolita fashion, and it's a slow process. And I think we need to like encourage some patience for that. It takes a very long time to build a Lolita wardrobe. So when people judge beginners really harshly, it feels unfair to me. And again, I'm not saying that constructive criticism is bad. It absolutely is great. I actually improved a lot more once I got the guts to post on Closet of Frills more. The individuals who actually posted constructive criticism were really essential for me helping to solidify more my current style and helped me add some more actionable goals to my wardrobe. For example, I started collecting shoes, which was not something I'd really focused on. Now I'm on to socks. Socks are surprisingly hard to collect. And I think if you're that excited about a new thing, and I remember when I joined Lolita that it just, I've talked about it before on the channel, but it felt like discovering a part of myself I had never gotten to meet before. And when you go to share that with the community and you're immediately crushed down, it can really hurt someone's self-esteem. It can also help you build a thicker skin, which in some ways is helpful in life and in general. But I feel like if someone's already struggling and coming from that sort of a place, it could make it a lot more difficult for them. And again, I love Lolita fashion. I'm not trying to like say that it's bad because it's absolutely wonderful. And again, plenty of people treat newbies with respect. I'd say the majority of people do. I think it's just the loud minority who is just kind of sick of seeing new people and are very vocal about it. Although I don't think I've seen it as much recently, but I don't know. I just haven't been on the online community that much. You guys let me know in the, well, outside of YouTube. Yes, I will drink this whole pot of tea by myself. Another part of Lolita fashion, this was on the positive end, is that for a lot of us, it can feel like armor. And when you have a lot of other mental health struggles, which I do, however, I'm only comfortable sharing some diagnoses online, other ones I keep to myself. And that's just for my own safety and privacy, but I do struggle with mental health issues. And I think for some of us, when life is already extra difficult and feels overwhelming so much of the time, putting on a Lolita cord feels like putting on armor. And when I go out in the world, even though people react to my cords sometimes, it still feels like I'm invincible. It feels like nothing in the world could actually touch me. Maybe that guy who catcalled me can upset my day for a little bit. Now I might feel a little bad about it, but when I get home and look in the mirror and I see myself the way that I want to be, it really makes all the difference. It makes things so much better when things get hard. And I think things have been hard for a lot of us recently. There's a lot going on in the world, and the Lolita community overall and Lolita fashion itself and the culture that goes with it is just such a shining spot in my life. And I want to share just how much I've gotten out of this back to the community that I love so much. And I think a goal for me on this channel is to be a bit more open and a bit more myself in the way that I experience and interact with Lolita fashion. And I think this video is a good stepping stone for that. Oh, earlier in the video, I had mentioned that Lolita fashion for me gives me like goals and structures to my life. And for me, I mean that as in Lolita fashion kind of gives me an ideal to strive for. And my ideal is to be a magical princess metaphorically, but it's still something to structure my life around. To me, that's somebody who is kind and practical, but still spontaneous. Just all the things that I want to be. Somebody who creates beauty in themselves, deep down in themselves, adorns themselves beautifully, and brings beauty to other people, and does kind things and shares their light with the world. And that's the type of person I want to be. I don't know if I'm that person, and some days it really doesn't feel like I'm that person at all. Sometimes it feels like, you know, it might not be worth it, but it really is. For me anyways. And again, obviously, what I'm describing is an ideal. It's not something that anyone ever 100% is, nor am I claiming to be that. It's just a way I like to view and interpret the world. Mental health and Lolita fashion always seem to go hand in hand. I've noticed this trend that even for people who aren't lifestylers, Lolita, for many of us, seems to be a type of armor or a way to cope or a way to just make our lives a little bit better, to have something to look forward to. And I think that's beautiful. And I hope that we as a community can work to mitigate some of the less fun parts of being in the fashion. Some of it is inherent, but some of it's already working on getting changed. I have never been able to get a Lady Sloth release due to financial reasons, but it's amazing that there's now this beloved independent brand that caters to so many sizes. And gosh, I want some Lady Sloth, but I've never had the chance. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next week. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Lilianarowena, out.